Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good afternoon and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 5 and episode number, I'm going to guess 783, I think that's correct, of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Always 100% Canadian. Of course, today it's the Daily Beaver. Well, not daily, afternoon show, but it's an afternoon show. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And not with me, as usual, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. But we will have a little bit of a Grizzly moment in the show today, hopefully, because he sent me a little bit of pre-record stuff that I can include here today. A big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Today, recording day is Monday, November 10th, 2025, and we have snow on the ground here at the Beaver Lodge. A light dusting, but snow nonetheless. Kids and cubs, how is your mental health today? As you know, I have been away for a little bit. I was not able to do a Friday show. I tried to communicate it. I hope that you saw the posting that there would be no show on Friday. I was very, very, very sick. I didn't know how sick I was when I said on Friday that I would not be having a show. But to explain a little bit what happened, on Thursday afternoon, I went for lunch with my good friend Heather. Hi, Heather, if you're watching. And I was feeling great, alert, engaged, very present. And about an hour after we parted company, I got home and I was very, 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 very cold and getting colder and colder and shivering. And that usually is a sign of impending fever, but no cough, no sneezing, no sore throat, nothing of the like. And for those who may not be aware, generally a fever without signs of a cold is a sign of an infection of some kind. I didn't remember that at the time. Recalled later, but didn't remember that at the time. So I basically was in bed from about 4 p.m. on Thursday till about midnight on Friday, wrapped up in blankets, trying to sweat it out when I could. Very weak, no energy, no appetite. And when I could, just sitting under a hot shower and letting the water run over me to try and get warm. I did not have enough energy to stand. And this might be a lot of TMI. So, for those of you who don't like gross stuff, you might want to skip this part. And when I'm done, I will just give a little finger signal up there for you. And this is highly embarrassing. But for some reason, um, along with that, I had appeared to have lost complete control of my bowel functions and didn't really notice it at the time because of I'm trying to be as less not as least gross as possible, but it was very watery, and I wasn't able to distinguish certain things at the time. Uh, Around midnight in the night from Friday going into Saturday, my beaver sweetie had been suggesting throughout the day that I should maybe go to the ER, and I did want to go because by that time I kind of figured out that it was an infection. But I figured that, you know, um, a fever and, just sort of having to go to the bathroom a lot probably wasn't going to be a very high priority. And I was more comfortable horizontal than having to sit 4 to 5 hours or maybe more in a ER. And so I just wanted to stay where I was most comfortable. But we called Health 811 Ontario or Telehealth Ontario. And I spoke with the nurse there, and she recommended that I go right away. So we did. Got through triage and had blood taken doing that. And both times I had to interrupt to go to the bathroom. And when they were taking blood, I actually had to sort of like hold my arm down because I was shivering so much that I was practically convulsing. Uh, and I wasn't in the ER long. I was only about in the waiting room long. It was 1 hour, and they called me in, which is a sign that that's not good because there were people in the ER that were in agony, visibly, and I got in before them. Uh, and I do know about triage, so I know that that was not a good sign. Um, uh, the doctor finally came and was talking to me and did some tests and was doing some tap tests on my stomach area. And I hadn't noticed with everything else that I was actually having some quite acute pain in the lower abdomen area. So uh, I was starting to get frightened at that time, also because one of the times that I had to go to the bathroom, there was no liquid. And by that time, I hadn't eaten anything pretty much in 48 hours, so I couldn't understand how there was still more. But what was there sort of looked like pellets, and they were about as red as my shirt today. And then I started to get really scared because I know that that's not good at all. Yeah, uh, we had the CT scan and found out eventually that there was a thickening of the bowel and that it was probably some type of either viral or bacterial infection to the area. And it, like I said, within the space of a couple of hours, I went from here right down. It was a fast, sudden drop. It was scary. There are uh, certain things, losing total control of your bowel function. Um, uh, it's embarrassing. It's humiliating. Um, you, well, I don't have to tell you, right? There's a whole dignity aspect with it. So, yeah, it was rather tough. But uh, we um, arrived at some type of what we thought, sorry, the diagnosis was. And the doctor was seriously considering admitting me, and I could have been in for 5 days. But she understood that most people, of course, like to recover at home. So we after some IV liquids because I was extremely dehydrated. I couldn't even produce saliva, and and some antibiotic. Um, she sent me home with a 5-day course, and we were crossing our fingers, hoping that we uh, were right as to what it was, or else I would have to go back. And fortunately, it seems we might have been right about what it was. So it's either something like a C difficile or uh, something just a bacterial infection. We assumed bacterial rather than viral first as a first course, and sent me home with the antibiotics. And uh, I was so cold I had brought my own blanket with me, and I must have looked a mess because twice at the hospital after my Beaver sweetie had left because he had needed some sleep, I was asked if I was unhoused. And when I was discharged from the hospital and I got to the pharmacy, still with the blanket around me to pick up my prescription. Um, and as I got out of the pharmacy and I was waiting for the cab home, two police officers stopped by on the street in a car and asked me if I was doing okay. um, so nice to know that people out there are caring about whether or not people are unhoused. But uh, that's what I looked like. I looked like I was a mess. So fortunately, the antibiotics seem to be working because I am up and at 'em. Although shaky, as you can hear and as you can see, I am not completely all together yet. And as you can hear in my voice, it's a little rough and deeper. It's a bit Mr. Grizzly voice today and rough and sandpapery. So not fully there. And I also have hardly slept a wink in 5 days. I have lost 6 to 7 pounds in two, and I have not been able to put many back on since appetite hasn't really come back. I am. For about 3 or 4 days, I was taking bird sips of everything, and it would take me about an hour to get down 2 pieces of toast, or half an hour to get down 2 scrambled eggs. Um, I have a little bit more of an appetite, but I would say that throughout a day, I'm probably not eating 2 full meals yet. So I'm a little weak, uh, a little unsteady, um, but surprisingly able to do things and retain things and focus and concentrate, which I shouldn't be, which must be an indication that I'm getting some micro sleeps here and there. But it's really just been tossing and turning, and for 4 of the days, sweating. The low grade fever. Yeah, it was a fever that got up to 39, and then when it abated a bit, was low grade. And I think I finally broke last night, which is really good because I'm tired of being wet and sweaty and clammy and everything that I'm trying to fall asleep on, being completely soaked. And then that gets cool and cold and uncomfortable. And so There's been that and just mind racing, not being able to turn my mind off. I don't know also if I'm just not able to sleep because I'm afraid of losing the bowel functions again. That seems to have reestablished itself. So I am on the upswing. Like I said, we don't know exactly what it is yet. We're going to wait for some analysis of the samples and see if there's anything else. But I don't, right now, it doesn't look like I'm going to have to go back to the ER, and I'm just going to have to wait for the GI team, medical team to call me. And I'm guessing that they will send me for more CT scans after to see if whether any permanent damage has been done as a result of the infection to the area. But even though I was keeping a very strong face for my Beaver sweetie, because between he and I, he's more of the worrier, and I didn't want to panic him. But I have to admit, I was, I was very scared. I was very scared um, because I just had no idea what was happening. It just felt like my body was attacking me, and there just seemed to be no rhyme or reason for it. So I needed time to follow my own advice and take some time for self care. So that's why I was away, and that's why I wasn't able to do a show this morning either, because I needed some extra time to try and get a little bit more rest. Um, um, Unfortunately, more sleep has not come yet today. So the like I said, I'm sure I've gotten some micro sleep in there, but it literally does feel like I have been up uh, for close to 100 hours straight. I have no idea how I'm functioning, but somehow I am. Um, I do have insomnia, and I have been on 5-day stretches before. They've been more painful than this one for some reason. Again, maybe it's just because I've been lying down a lot and keeping my eyes closed a lot and still resting, even though not necessarily sleeping, and that's maybe helping. Whereas on the other days, it's my regular job and all that kind of stuff, and I have to push through. But uh, that's the story, kids and cubs. That's what's been going on with me. So I'm going to do the best that I can for you today, because the news has been accumulating fast and furious. And of course, news gets stale if you don't get to it. So, and we want to stay on top of things. So I'm going to give what I can today. I might not be able to get through all of the material. I might have to tap out at one point, if with your indulgence, of course. But whatever I don't cover today, I will continue either tomorrow by doing a second episode, because tomorrow will be Remembrance Day. So we will not be discussing any of this in our Remembrance Day episode. And Mr. Grizzly, because he will be off work, will be able to join us for that. So we will have a Beaver and Grizzly tomorrow, I am happy to announce. But yeah, that's what's been going on. Just so you know, because I don't know if everybody had the details, whatnot, and I didn't share too much on the public stuff. I shared something on my personal page, and there's some of you, of course, who I've developed more personal friendships with, and so you had access to all the gory details, but not everybody else necessarily did. So that's what was going on. Uh, a bit of a fright. But it seems for now that all's well that ends well. Thank you to the wonderful staff at the Kingston General Hospital for being so kind and so attentive and so concerned and so professional, and uh, for uh, letting me preserve my dignity by not commenting on I mean, asking me if I was unhoused, I guess, but I mean, you know, I looked like crap and I came in with a blanket that was soaking wet and it was a rainy day outside. So, I mean, I can understand why people might have thought that. Um, uh, so, but for, even thinking if I was unhoused, treating me with dignity, um, uh, I smelled I smelled like hell, kids and cups. And nobody made a comment or side comment or anything. And I was painfully aware of what I smelled like. Um, so thank you to all the staff who were very, very kind. Um, thank you to the people at the pharmacy who did let me use the bathroom when I was there because I know that you have a policy to not let people, uh, the public, use the bathroom, but you knew why I was there when I was picking up the prescription. So thank you, because had you not done that, I would have soiled myself on the way home and would have had to get home uh, in a very embarrassing state. So um, thank you. I'm sorry, kids and cups. Lack of sleep makes one a little emotional. So I'm all right. I'm all right. It's just emotions and lack of sleep combination that's making things seem a little more dramatic than they are. Um, but um, thank you for letting me keep my dignity. Uh, it it matters a great deal. It really does. And thank you, kids and cups, for all your understanding, your kindness, your compassion, all your healing vibes, all your good energy, your kind thoughts. All of them were helpful. Uh, they mean and meant so much more than you can ever know. Um, as many of you know, um, I have family thanks to my beaver sweetie, but I don't really have any family of my own. So, my beaver sweetie's family, and you are my family. So, you were there for me, and I'm very grateful. Wow. I really thought I was going to be able to have that a little more together today. When I was going to do this part, I had visions of myself being a lot more dignified and just plain and matter of fact, and trying to not make a big deal out of it. But emotions, there you go. We're all we're all human and we have them. So your kindness really touched me, and uh, it got me through. It got me through, and gave me a lot to look forward to. This moment coming back to be with you, because I know it would be a good moment. I probably should not be doing this today. All of you out there that tell me, take time, wait, recover fully, come back fully. I get it. I understand. I absolutely understand. And you are right. But I'm a stubborn old mule. And I needed my damn fam time. I needed my time with you today, kids and cups. Um, it's good for the soul. It's good for the soul. So thank you. You guys are the best. You really are. And um, the whole show is not going to be like this, by the way. But yes, Kid Saucy, did I eat something that caused a problem? That is probably the most likely scenario, either something that was ill prepared or somebody that may have not properly washed their hands before preparing food. Uh, Most likely is what would have happened. But yeah, like I said, n- I don't really know at all. I don't really know. But it's just um, to just take such a deep dive so fast and just feeling like you're losing control of everything, um, as just as it feels like things are shutting down. Um, it's scary. See, Kitlinda M here had some food poisoning, and uh, um, I hope you're feeling better. And Kit Lori also who sent me some love. I know you're going through a lot of stuff too right now. You're currently in the ER, and like I said, I have a little bit of healing energy to spare, so I'm sending it to you. And I know that the Dam Fam is as well. Um, Yes, Kit Saucy, brat diet for the last little while. I'm able to make some other choices now because I'm a little more stable, and uh, the bowel stuff has reestablished itself. So I'm not too worried, but I can't do like too fatty or too spicy yet while I'm still on the course of antibiotics. Kitland Dam, soon it will be turtle season, and you need to recover so you can enjoy it. Indeed, turtles, my absolute favorite treat. Yeah, kits and cubs. It's yeah, Kitland Dam. It's especially scary when you're sick at night for some reason, and especially if you don't know what it is. And and the thing is that I couldn't control what was happening and when things would happen. And I mean, sometimes I was going to the bathroom like 3 times in 10 minutes, right? So it's like, where do you sleep? On what surface do you sleep if you don't want to soil the entire house? If you can't control anything? So you kind of don't sleep and you can't because you're going to the bathroom. I think I must have gone to the bathroom in the first 24 hours of this 60, 70 times. I went through an entire roll of toilet paper in less than 24 hours, an entire roll. So, uh, yeah, and that's with the bidet. That's with the bidet. Thank God for the bidet. Um, so yeah, um, scary, very, very scary. And I think one of the reasons I might subconsciously still not be able to sleep is because I'm still fearing that it will happen again, and just my brain is not letting me sleep. Um, uh, I even I am going to admit this on air, and it is embarrassing. Um, uh, I even went and got myself some Depends, and having to wear them backwards. So there you go. Um, I now know what it is like to wear adult diapers. Yay me! But it was necessary. So there you go, and they do work, and they come in really handy. So um, I will never laugh again or make fun again of anybody who has to wear Depends. Ever, ever, ever. So that's my sordid, embarrassing, ugly tale. Uh, and the reason I'm telling it rather than keeping it private is Kits and Cubs. I know a lot of us are like, we don't want to be bothered. It's just a 48-hour thing, it'll pass. But I just, please, if you have a fever, and no other signs of a cold, do not do like I did and wait nearly 48 hours. Go to the hospital right away. It is an infection and it can take a bad turn real quick. Go. Don't be proud. Don't be tough. Go. Self care. Above all, put your own mask on first before helping others. If you have a fever, I will repeat, with no other signs of a cold, it means that there's an infection somewhere in your body and it is growing fast, real fast, because the fever doesn't break until you treat the infection. And whatever you take to calm and mask the symptoms of the fever to sort of make it abate a little bit is only allowing the infection to keep growing and do more damage, if there's any damage being done. So do not be proud. Don't feel that it's a bother, even if you feel that you're going to be more comfortable at home or the wait's going to be long and sitting up you don't have it in you. Wanna go. Don't make excuses. Don't find a way out. Don't find a reason not to go. Go. Go immediately. Immediately. Like, if you don't have a ride, this that's what taxis are for at this point, or call a paramedic. Don't be afraid. Don't say, it's not like I'm having a cardiac arrest. I'm not gonna use an ambulance because somebody else may need. Call. Just get to a hospital as fast as you can, okay? I mean it. This is very serious stuff, right? I got lucky that it may have just been a bacterial infection of the bladder, but it could be something else that is way more damaging. And so you don't want to mess with that stuff. So if you remember anything from this show, fever, no symptoms of a cold equals infection equals danger. Just go. Okay. So that's the main reason I'm sharing it. Yes. Um, I learned it this time. I'm not going to forget it. And if it ever happens again, I'm not waiting. But uh, I should have listened to my Beaver sweetie and I should have gone earlier. He was right. So my bad for being stubborn. Uh, okay. On to the stuff for which we're here. Um, I'm seeing the comments here in the chat, kids and cubs. You are again, see, just just wonderful, wonderful. I see a cat here. It says, "I thought I had the flu one time, no sharp pains. My daughter a nurse saw me and told my husband to get me to the ER. Good thing, as my appendix burst while there." See, yep, indeed. Tabby G. C. diff has a very distinct spell, so yeah, that might have I did not know that. See, that might help me rule. That might have been what it was then. Do you want us to share childbirth stories to make you feel better? You guys are great. See, Kid Linda, we're not here just for the news. We care about you. See, that's why I come here. That's why I come here, kids and cubs. So I am going to see, Kid Saucy. I have had my grandmother let loose all over me when I was 15. She was bedridden and had dementia. The smell was my thing I could never forget. I'm quite desensitized, and most healthcare workers are. That is true. Most healthcare workers are. But yeah, it's it's you know it, but you don't in the moment, right? It's just yeah. It's anyway. um, You need some normality after that, and oddly enough, we are your normal, said Kid Linda. Yes, that is true. That is true. You are my normal. As I joke on the yeah, on the show, you're like, my glass of orange juice with breakfast, right? An essential part of my day. Rotavirus? That I don't know. That one didn't come up, in the discussions. We're talking about stuff like maybe ischemic colitis, Crohn's, but we didn't think it was that at first because Crohn's usually manifests in for the first time in people younger. It's not that it can't; it would just be an atypical presentation. So we didn't think of that as an initial possibility, or as the first possibility there. But yeah, and yeah, it's right now it's looking like it was just bacterial, thankfully, and the antibiotics seem to be working. Thank God for antibiotics, and thank God for the Canadian healthcare system uh, to be able to get in that quickly. And yeah, I think uh, fewer than 5 hours or 6 hours after I arrived, I had a CT scan. That's just that's just out of this world. So, yeah, um, just very, very happy, very, very grateful. All right, kids and cubs. Um, to the news. One, I have to issue a gentle correction on myself because when I was talking about the budget and I was talking about votes, and I was saying that there would be the first vote on the budget would be, I think, on the 17th or something like that. Kind of um, was wrong about that because there were things, once the budget is tabled, there's customary amendments that are presented. There is a motion that is that the budget statement be accepted. And then usually the opposition party submits an amendment to the motion that it not be accepted and why. And I actually had the note on this on Thursday's show and forgot completely to mention it during the show, though one of you did mention it in the chat. And when I saw it in the chat, it was like, darn, I had it, and it was the juiciest part, and I was saving it for last. And then I just completely forgot to mention it. But there were votes on the statement. There were votes on accepting the budget statement. So there's a motion on that, and then the Conservatives were supposed to table an amendment to that motion. Well, it seems that that day in the House of Commons, uh, now you have to remember that day in the House of Commons, about 2 hours before the budget statement was going to be read by François Philippe Champagne, our Minister of Finance, it came out in Politico that Conservative MP for Acadie Annapolis, Chris D'Entremont, uh, was considering leaving the Conservatives and going to the Liberals, but it would depend what he saw in the budget. Now, Chris D'Entremont had a meeting, it seems, with Prime Minister Mark Carney on Monday, the day prior. So I guess that's where he came out, and that sort of came out. He was just talking to journalists at one point. That kind of slipped out, and then it appeared in Politico. It would seem that when that happened, according to news reports that I am reading, apparently his face went pale and he left where he was and went back to his office. And it seems that Matt Jeneroux had gone to see him at his office at that point. I will stop that story there because there is more, but that'll come later in the show. Um, Pierre Polyev, uh, clearly was rattled by the news. And while he was in the House of Commons grandstanding, it seems that he forgot to submit the opposition's amendment suggesting that the budget statement should not be accepted. So, yeah, uh, if we're talking about matters of competence, because this is something, how would I say, that's been a question, an open question with regard to the leader, because, well, one, he blew a 26-point lead. Two, he lost his seat. Three, recently, without any provocation whatsoever, made some very ill-advised comments about the RCMP, then tried to walk him back and correct them in a manner that was so um, not credible that no one bought it. Then has an MP defect, and then oh, there was the telling of the sex joke as well, somewhere in there. At a youth event, or well, and I'm not saying youth like kids, right, young adults, but him thinking that that was the way to go. It was a stolen joke as well, uh, and it sort of didn't work because it was a stolen joke from Reagan, and then we had the whole Reagan thing going on with Doug Ford ads, so it was just this weird mix of stuff. Um, and then, like the cherry on the sundae, um, he forgets to do his actual job as leader of the opposition. So busy getting his clips because, gee, he knew he was going to have to come out with all guns blazing after the D'Entremont thing, that he forgot to do his job, which was to table the amendment to reject the budget. So, because he didn't do that, the privilege of the initial amendment went to the Bloc Québécois, something the Bloc Québécois got to do once in 1997, I think it is, when it formed the official opposition, and never, ever, ever, ever thought it would ever have an opportunity to do again. But um, um, they were giggling their derrieres off on the Bloc benches at their incredible good fortune to be able to be the first to table the amendment. So the Bloc Québécois uh, tabled their amendment, and then the Conservatives, I guess, because they thought this was a clever move, decided to table a sub amendment to the Bloc amendment. And basically, the conservative sub amendment to the Bloc amendment was now basically the main amendment is that, um, you know, I guess, let's say, I'm not sure how the words open, but let's say be it resolved, right? Well, that's normally for debate, though. That's not necessarily for a motion. But let's just say that the motion is that, yeah, the motions always start with that. So that the budget statement be accepted, right? So the Bloc Québécois basically said, um, presented their sub amendment. Now, the first word, again, of a motion is that. The Conservatives' sub amendment, that the amendment be amended by deleting all words after the words the government budget statement. So, motion that the government's budget statement be accepted. Now, the Bloc Québécois had a whole bunch of words after that be accepted for all the reasons. So to delete everything that the Bloc had put in their sub-amendment as to why the budget statement should not accept. The Conservatives didn't leave anything of the Bloc at all. They just took it and completely substituted it for their own. Now, you think if the Conservatives really wanted their sub-amendment to pass, they would have left. They would have said, add to the Bloc's this. And then they might have all voted together. But they wanted only theirs, nobody else's, because they can't play nice with others. So, that the amendment be amended by deleting all the words after the words the government's budget statement and substituting the following quote, since instead of presenting an affordable budget so Canadians can have an affordable life, it presented a budget that fails to A, consider that every dollar the Liberal government spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians in the form of higher taxes and inflation. That's not true. B, bring down the deficit to the level Liberals promised in their last fiscal update, which promised $42 billion last year. That's under another prime minister. New leader, new look. Mark Carney is not beholden to the promises of the former leader. C, scrap hidden taxes on food, including the industrial carbon tax on farmers, the food packaging tax that adds billions in costs, and the fuel standard tax that adds 17 cents per liter to diesel and gasoline for farmers, blah, blah, blah. D, end the inflation tax by bringing down, there's no inflation tax, by bringing down the cost of government instead of printing money to pay Liberal bills. Nobody's paying money, printing money. And E, include a plan for any oil and gas pipelines that would strengthen our nation's economy and get our resources to market. This could have been written by Danielle Smith. Really. Well, that sub-amendment failed. 139 yays, 198 yays, 0 votes paired. Even the Bloc Québécois did not vote. Who want the budget to fail did not vote for the Conservative because the Conservatives' sub-amendment wiped away everything in the Bloc's amendment. Now, the Bloc's motion text was that now again, remember that the budget statement be accepted. The Bloc Québécois motion that the motion be amended by deleting all words after the word that. Really, everything after the first word. Just delete that from the motion and substituting the following quote, the House reject the government's bill, that the House reject the government's budget statement, which will hurt Quebec because it fails to A, raise the Canadian health transfer escalator to 6%. See, this isn't impossible. The federal government just said that it wants to reduce operational spending. Right? Mark Carney has been saying operational spending has been increasing at a 6 or 7% a year. That is not sustainable. The Bloc Québécois wants health transfers increased by 6%. But the Bloc Québécois also want the deficit to remain down. Of course, the Bloc Québécois never has to govern, so they don't have to be worried about what has to be cut in order to achieve that, right? B, end discrimination against people aged 65 to 74 who did not receive an equitable increase in old age security. They call it discrimination. When the Liberals introduced it, they said they did it for people who are 65, for 74 and up, because as they are older, they have more expensive needs. And that's why it was done that way. C, repay the $814 million to Quebecers who were not compensated for the end of carbon pricing in April 2025. And D, propose concrete and effective measures to combat climate change. Well, that one was rejected. It only got 30 yays. So there were 22 Bloc MPs and 8 non-Bloc MPs did vote for that, but 306 nays. So both of those are indeed confidence votes. So I was mistaken when I said there were no confidence votes on the budget coming because I was focused on the actual budget bill and not just the budget statement, but the budget state votes on the budget statement are also confidence votes. So the Liberals have survived the first two confidence votes on the budget, on um, the amendments that are um, things that happen with every budget, right? The opposition always submits an amendment to the motion to accept the budget statement that says, "How about we not?" So, and and then it gets rejected, and everybody laughs and all that kind of stuff, and then we go on, and then we actually have the real debate about the budget and the real vote. Now, this week is constituency week, and it's also because it's Remembrance Day, right? So a lot of uh, MPs are back in their ridings for this purpose. So there will be no vote, and I believe the House reconvenes on the 17th. And I'm not sure if there is a vote scheduled for that day on something having to do with the budget. But I believe that that's when the House reconvenes. So there won't be anything more until then in terms of votes or any confidence measures being tested. But the first two, the Liberals have survived. And like I said, it wasn't close, right? 198 to 139, 306 to 30. So, um, or I should say 30 to 306 because it's yeas and nays, and 139 to 198. So, but so both have been survived. Of course, the big one will be on the budget itself. So that has taken place, and the Liberals are going in to this week to sell the budget, and also probably um, uh, have more meetings or telephone discussions or discussions, maybe not necessarily between the prime minister, because it seems from what I've been hearing with this particular government, there are certain MPs and cabinet ministers that are doing a lot of the outreach work as well, not just the prime minister. Mélanie Joly, for example, apparently it has come out that she has been talking with Chris D'Entremont for the last 5 years to let him know. It's like, wouldn't you really be more comfortable on our side? I mean, do you see these guys? You're not like that. It's like, and I guess finally she got through in some way. But it seems that it's not just the prime minister. It seems that there might be a little bit more um, of a team going out and doing that. And it seems that the Conservatives are very strictly monitoring their MPs. So once they are at constituency week and they're a little bit away from headquarters, that might leave more room for some of those phone calls to take place, not under his eye, so to speak. Um, because it seems that the close monitoring may have had an impact on what happened next. Because the day after Chris D'Entremont crossed the floor, we learned that another Conservative MP, Matt Jeneroux, had announced not that he was switching sides, but that he was resigning altogether. Now, Matt Jeneroux is an MP for the Conservative Party from Alberta, but representing the riding of Edmonton Riverbend. Now, for those of you who know Alberta politics a little bit, Edmonton is the oasis of liberalism or progressivism within the province. So, Matt Jeneroux, um, being conservative and having a conservative seat in Edmonton, um, it's not a seat you win by a landslide. right? It's not a Battle River Crowfoot where the Conservative candidate gets 80% of the vote. It's a little significantly closer than that. Now, in the case of Matt Jeneroux, it would appear that he really was talking about crossing over. And the rumor mill, word on the tweet, is that he was about 80% of the way there, I would say. And then rather than making the flip or the switch or crossing the aisle over to the Liberals, um, he just decided, I'm just not going to do politics at all anymore. I'd rather not be on this ship. I don't like this party. I don't like this ride. So I'm out. He announced he was out the day after D'Entremont, along with the budget. But somewhere along the way, he announced that he won't be resigning his seat until the spring. Wants to spend more time with his family, he says. Hopes he will have the chance to make one more statement in Parliament before he goes. But that's it. So essentially, from now until sometime in the spring, even though there is technically an MP for that riding, the constituents of that riding will have no representation for all intents and purposes. Because as far as he's concerned, he's already gone. Word on the tweet is that Jeneroux hasn't been at caucus for some time now. Now, somewhere in there, Matt Jeneroux found it necessary to state that he had not been coerced. There's a problem with that, however, logically, kids and cubs. Why would you announce prior to the budget vote, the day after the party leader saw an MP cross the aisle? Why would you announce on that day that you intend to resign in the spring? Why would you just save your party that embarrassment and just wait until after the leadership review vote and then announce your resignation? It seems to me that that would be the thing to do. So the fact that he announced that he was resigning before, but then all of a sudden, but it won't be until the spring, that's weird. That's very, very weird. And there's a reason that that's weird. You see, because remember when Mark Carney stated that if Pierre wanted to run for another seat, that he would play no games? A lot of people were wondering if that would be wise. No, keep Pierre out as long as possible. We're tired of him. We don't hear his voice another 6 months without hearing him. Make him wait all the time like this. Just, yeah, keep him aside. Mark Carney said, no games. Here's where that comes in really handy. You see, because if Matt Jeneroux had resigned his seat that day, that means that Prime Minister Mark Carney could have called a by-election. Now, he had 6 months to call that by-election. But, well, Could Pierre be really sure that Mark Carney would wait until his leadership review was over before he called that by-election? And if Matt Jeneroux had resigned his seat on Friday, and let's say the Prime Minister called the by-election right away, and let's say he gave 40 days for the campaign, let's say, that would fall before the leadership convention, wouldn't it now? And, well, why not take a look at what happened in Edmonton Riverbend in the last election, 2025 Canadian federal election, Edmonton Riverbend. Let's pop that up on the screen a little bit, see what it's like. Well, what do we have here? Matt Jeneroux won with 50.25% of the vote, defeating Liberal Mark Benenko, who had 44.82% of the vote. That's a fewer than 6%. That's not a big distance. Edmonton, where the Prime Minister grew up. Alberta, with a Prime Minister who's seen to be a progressive conservative. With a party that seems to want to do serious things versus a party that seems to want to grandstand. What are the odds that if the Prime Minister called that by-election really quickly, when Pierre has just insulted the RCMP, has lost one MP through defection and one through resignation, what are the odds? Were the Conservatives feeling lucky that they would win that by-election again? And if they did not win that by-election, how embarrassing would it be for the leader of the party to go into a leadership review, having done all that, and losing an MP through a defection, and then losing a seat in a by-election? Would he even get to the leadership review in that case? Could Pierre really trust that Mark Carney wouldn't call one that quickly? After all, Mark Carney called one that quickly for him. Pierre's scared. Pierre is very, very, very scared. And that is why Matt Jeneroux is not resigning until the spring. Now, what would make a guy who wants to go now not resign until the spring if he, as he stated in his statement, was not coerced? My hostages are treating me very well. Not my hostages. Sorry. My hostage takers are treating me very well. I swear. Come and tell me the guy is not coerced. Come and tell me the guy was not coerced. Now, this is the reason why. Remember when I talked about Matt Jeneroux checking in on Chris D'Entremont when he went to his office when the news came out in Politico? Well, it would seem that after when he went to see him, that soon after that, nobody else but Andrew Scheer, and here, Andrew Scheer, right? Dimples, right? Thought would be the good guy after Harper because Harper was so dour and serious, and well, Andrew Scheer was just all so shucks, like so likable. You just want to pinch his cheeks, right? They would be like the antidote, but don't mistake. Andrew Scheer is a nasty, 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 nasty little piece of work. Apparently, he and the whip of the party, Chris Warkerton, got to Chris d'Entremont's office, apparently pushed his assistant out of the way and barged through the door. And that's when Matt Jeneroux thought, maybe this is my time to exit. And apparently it was, how dare you? How dare you what? How dare you what? Represent the best interests of his constituents? Decide that the best interests of his constituents would be represented better under a different banner? Decide that he is not the type of person, as he mentioned in the interview, who likes to tear down. He would actually like in his career to actually have built something at some point. How dare he? How dare he? And then we saw all the things that came out from the conservative side afterwards, right? He betrayed us. He betrayed his constituents. All the nasty stuff. Jamil Javani, he's an idiot. An idiot. Yeah, it was all love and cuddles in the conservative caucus. I'm sure it was all love and cuddles in the conservative caucus. Now, when there's a floor crossing, everybody gets upset. But when the Liberals lost Leona Alislev, right, there were comments like, well, it's never a great thing when it happens, and it's a little bit embarrassing, but, it's politics. That happens sometimes. But the Conservatives are, how dare you? And this whole public campaign to smear his name. He's a this and a that and a that. You're dead to me. You're the worst person in the world. They had him in this caucus for all those years. But now he's all of those things. He wasn't those things until that moment, but now he is. Yeah. Yeah, they treat their people real well in the Conservative caucus. Real well. Smashingly well. So, yeah. The bottom's fallen out. They are out of control. They do not know how to stop the bleeding. And there's a leadership thing, right? There's a leadership style. There's some questions there. I want to bring you back in time a little bit. Take us to October, because we read this to you in October on the show. There's a lot of people that are saying, well, gee, Pierre Poilievre's leadership now is in much more doubt than we ever thought before. Not more than we thought on this show. We've been saying it for a while, right? The guy is such a dick, even to his own caucus. We're not surprised. We're not surprised at all. Now, Chris Warkerton said that there were no threats and intimidation. Matt Jeneroux says he wasn't coerced, but yet his departure time has been conveniently scheduled to help the leader, and the leader had nothing but glowing things to say about Matt Jeneroux. Everybody has nice things to say about Matt Jeneroux. Well, he really wants to spend time with his family, and they're hiding under that whole fig leaf, right? Like Matt Jeneroux said he wasn't coerced, so they're all running with that. But let's take a little look back again, because there's a lot of people are like, oh, the conservatives would never ever do that. They could never do that. That's not their style. They would not intimidate people. Um, yeah, they would, actually. This is from October 2024. We brought this to you then. CBC, Christian Noël, journalist, November 20th, 2024. After 2 years of Pierre Poilievre as their leader, many Conservative MPs say they are much less free now than they were before his arrival. The man who promised during his leadership run to make Canada, quote, the freest country in the world, maintains tight control over the actions of his caucus members. Normally, loquacious Conservatives close up like oysters and dare not speak without their leader's approval. MPs are watched by Conservative staffers, both inside and outside Parliament. Elected representatives are publicly called to order for deviating from the party line. Conservative MPs' words and actions are closely scrutinized by the leader's office. Partisanship is encouraged. Fraternizing with elected officials from other parties is a no-no. Those who follow these rules are rewarded. Those who don't often have to suffer consequences. Quote, there are always multiple people in the penalty box. There is always someone in trouble, one caucus member said. This is back in November 2024. Quote, you don't need to be told what to do. You watch the leader and understand what's expected from you, one Conservative source said. The leader comes first. Do not undercut him, said another. Radio-Canada spoke with more than a dozen elected representatives, employees, and members of the Conservative Party of Canada from 3 different provinces. The sources were granted anonymity so they could express themselves freely. All reported a tightening of caucus discipline under Poilievre's leadership. Quote, since Pierre became leader, you can feel the difference, said a source in the Conservative leader's entourage. MPs don't get too comfortable. They're careful. But some in the Conservative ranks are beginning to chafe at the restrictions. Some elected officials feel they've come to caucus, quote, to be told what to do and what to think by the leader, one Conservative source said. Quote, sometimes the leader listens to suggestions, but often his mind is already made up. It's often a one-way conversation, another source said. Starting to figure out maybe why Matt Jeneroux wasn't showing up at caucus. Quote, it's not ideal, but it works, one source said. The Conservatives have a 20-point lead in several polls. Yeah, did it work? You all endured that since he became leader until election day for nothing. Quote, when you're leading, it's easy to keep discipline within the caucus, but if there's a drop in the polls, well, then we'll see. Well, there was. And now we're seeing, aren't we? If the leader invents a new slogan, quote, we know we'll have to use it, said a Conservative source. Catchphrases deployed by Poilievre in the House of Commons and at media events, axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime, and terms of derision like wacko, radical, just inflation, and sellout Jagmeet Singh are often picked up and repeated by Conservative MPs. Take, for example, the word wacko. Poilievre was expelled from the House of Commons in April for using this word and refusing to withdraw remarks he made about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Before that incident, the term had been used twice in the House of Commons in the previous 18 months. In the months since, Conservative MPs have repeated it more than 100 times in the Commons. Quote, if you repeat the slogans, you get rewarded, said a Conservative source. You are celebrated in front of the entire caucus for being a good cheerleader, and you get more speaking time in the House and during question period. Those who refuse to parrot those lines lose their speaking time, another source said. It's radio silence at the entrance to Conservative caucus meetings these days. Every Wednesday morning, journalists throw questions at the arriving MPs. Almost all of them pass without answering. Some avoid making eye contact with journalists. MPs from the other parties seldom hesitate to answer journalists' questions, and when Erin O'Toole and Andrew Scheer led the Conservatives, many Conservative MPs stopped by to chat with reporters every Wednesday. In the early days of the Poilievre era, a press secretary for the leader was seen on a few occasions signaling MPs not to stop in front of the cameras. Like a policeman directing traffic, he seemed to be beckoning them to enter the room without responding to reporters. More recently, press secretaries from Poilievre's office have been supervising the entrances to Parliament and monitoring journalists' scrums with MPs with the goal of recording the exchanges. The Conservative Party is the only federal party that currently does this. As a result, many Conservative MPs who used to be very outspoken are now reluctant to grant interviews to journalists without first receiving the go-ahead from Poilievre's office. Quote, it's not that unusual to act that way, said Jan Plante, a former Conservative advisor under Stephen Harper. Quote, the leader staff wants to limit the risks as much as possible and let the leader, the group's best communicator, do the heavy lifting. He said holding the leash too tight can also lead to problems. Quote, it can demoralize caucus members. You think? 2 just said bye-bye in 2 days. Over time, it can become an internal threat where you also have opposition within your own caucus. And remember that the Conservative Party passed that Reform Act, so caucus can depose the leader before a leadership vote, before it gets put to the membership. Sources told Radio-Canada that Conservative Party staffers keep a close eye on MPs' activities, who's talking to reporters, who's deviating from the party line, who's fraternizing with MPs from other parties. Journalists have spotted party staffers taking notes, and sources say these activities are reported to the leader's office. Quote, everyone is being watched. What we say, what we do, who we talk to, we're told not to fraternize with MPs from the other parties, and that's not normal, a Conservative source said. To be a good MP, it's important to build relationships with colleagues from other parties. That's how Parliament works best for Canadians, but the leader's office won't let us. Sources say Conservative staffers monitor MPs' interactions not only in the Commons chamber, but also in the corridors of Parliament and at social events such as the Press Gallery dinner and the Speaker's garden party. Being an MP in the Conservative Party is like being in jail, and you have guards. And everything you do is monitored, watched, recorded, noted. And it all goes in a ledger. Poilievre's press attaché was even spotted jotting down the names of Conservative MPs attending the Press Gallery dinner this spring. It's an event that Poilievre, who has strained relations with the Parliamentary Press Gallery and most of his MPs, have avoided for the past 2 years. We don't get told not to go, but we can see that the leader doesn't go, so we do the same. Otherwise, it would be frowned upon, said one Conservative source. Plante said that if Poilievre's office is maintaining this kind of tight control over MPs, it's going too far. Quote, political employees were not elected by the people, he said. If I were a member of parliament and this concerned me, I'd go to the leader to denounce the situation and say, I'm not going to stand for this. Poilievre imposes iron discipline on himself. He works hard, he works late. Quote, we've been telling them for months that he needs to take a vacation, but he just won't listen, one source said. He's the one who decides everything. His main advisor is himself. The people around him are only there to realize the leader's vision. Every message that bears Poilievre's name on social media must first receive his approval, the source added. He's not a dictator, the source said. Really? He has a vision. He knows where he's going and how to get there. Did he? Poilievre's chief of staff doesn't decide much, the source added. He manages his calendar more than the party's policies. Pierre Poilievre went to the Harper School, said Plante, referring to the former Conservative Prime Minister in whose cabinet Poilievre served. His entourage was made up of several people who went to the Harper School, where message discipline was important. Poilievre follows his mentor's example in leading his troops. Unlike his predecessors, he can afford to do so. Aaron O'Toole needed 3 rounds of voting before being declared Conservative leader. He ended up with 57% of the vote. Andrew Scheer needed 13 rounds and finished with 51%. Both had heavily courted different factions of the party to gain the necessary support. Poilievre won the leadership decisively on the first ballot with 68%. He doesn't owe anything to anyone, one Conservative source said. He is not beholden to the religious wing of the party or the social conservatives or the progressives. He has the credibility to keep people disciplined and to call delinquents to order. If you stray too far from the message, you get told pretty quickly, a third source said. Recent examples abound. Conservative MPs who have expressed their opinions in public or who have strayed slightly from the party's central message have been swiftly called on the carpet by Poilievre's office and forced to course correct. If a Conservative elected official brings up a subject that contradicts or embarrasses the leader, the message gets through pretty quickly, one Conservative source said. Some MPs have lost speaking time in the Commons or in committees as punishment. Quote, it's a way for Pierre to point out who he likes and who he doesn't, a source added. Here are several recent examples of Conservative MPs called out by Poilievre. November 2024, 17 Conservative MPs pleaded with the government to ensure that cities in the ridings received their share of federal housing funds were publicly rebuffed by the leader's office. In a news release distributed to the media without their consent, Pierre forced those MPs to renege on their commitment to mayors in their ridings. September 2024, as Poilievre tabled a confidence motion to bring down the government, Conservative MP Kevin Waugh questioned the utility of holding a federal election just as Saskatchewan voters were heading to the polls for provincial and municipal elections. Shortly thereafter, in a press release issued under his name but sent by the leader's office, Waugh wrote, "We need a carbon tax election now." July 2024, Conservative MP Pierre-Paul Husse said that a Conservative government would not fund the Quebec City Tramway project, but that if agreements are signed, we won't redo what's been done. We won't start undoing contracts. We'll respect them. A few hours later, he was forced to retract his statement on X after a call came from the leader's office. A Conservative government will not invest federal money in a tramway, no matter what Justin Trudeau promises. June 2024, in an interview on a Liberal MP's podcast, Conservative MP Arnold Veerson said he looks forward to a day, quote, when abortion is unthinkable. He also said he would vote against gay marriage if given an opportunity, and hinted that he's banking on the strength of the Conservatives' religious caucus to change laws once in power. Poilievre's office quickly issued a correction in the MP's name, saying his comments don't represent the positions of the leader, nor the policies passed by the Conservative Party members themselves. A number of Conservative sources said they're not bothered by this degree of top-down control. It avoids missteps and distractions, one said. Earlier this year, Ontario Conservative MP Karen Vecchio lost her chairmanship of the Status of Women Committee under mysterious circumstances. Anita Vandenbelt, a Liberal MP on the same committee, claimed Vecchio was, quote, punished because she collaborated too much with the other parties. She didn't subscribe to the Conservatives' idea that everything should be blocked in committee, especially not on issues like the status of women, Vandenbelt said. Vecchio did not respond to Radio-Canada's request for a version of events. Poilievre's office said it's common practice to change committee chairs, but sources told Radio-Canada that Vecchio did not take the change well. She decided not to run in the last election under Poilievre's banner. They essentially chased her out of the party. In January, MP Leslie Lewis supported a petition calling for Canada to withdraw from the United Nations. As a result, her speaking time was reduced to question period. According to Radio-Canada's calculations, the frequency of her statements and questions and comments was cut in half in subsequent months. Lewis and Poilievre's office did not respond to requests for comment. Wow. There you go. Yes, they will intimidate. Yes, they will coerce. Yes, they will threaten. It's been on the record for over a year that this has been happening. Let's not act surprised. Let's not pretend that is out of the realm of possibility. Conservatives would never do that. We don't believe you because you do. It's on the record. Everyone can see it. Everyone can see it. Let's move forward to today. There is a person named Sharon Carr. I'm going to see if they have anything on who Sharon Carr. Sharon Carr served as the Deputy Chief of Staff for former Liberal leader, Finance Minister Bill Morneau, and is currently a principal at Navigator. Here's what they had to say. This is from November 9th, so yesterday. Canadian politics has never been for the faint of heart. Every party has its fractures, leadership wars, and moments of chaos. But what's happening inside the Conservative Party under Pierre Poilievre isn't normal turbulence. It's institutional decay disguised as discipline. Let's be clear. What's unfolding inside the halls of Ottawa isn't strategy, it's rot. When an MP from Atlantic Canada, Chris D'Entremont, the member of Parliament for Acadie-Annapolis, crosses the floor to join the Liberals, that's not routine politics. That's a flashing red light. And when another MP, Matt Jeneroux, rumored to be mulling a similar move, decides to entirely, that's not coincidence, that's combustion. The pressure inside Poilievre's caucus has reached a breaking point. This isn't how you build a credible opposition, it's how you run a cult. Floor crossing has always existed in politics. People evolve, riding shift, principles collide with party lines. But there's a chasm between individual choice and a culture built on coercion, fear, and threats. The bullying tactics aren't new for Poilievre or his inner circle. Discontent has simmered for years. On the campaign trail, Conservatives themselves whispered about intimidation, blacklisting, and a leadership office obsessed with control. I know this because my professional life has crossed partisan lines, and despite spending years in liberal politics, friendships and trust don't stop at party colors. Toxicity isn't unique to Poilievre, but when a leader relies on the likes of Andrew Scheer as an enforcer, the writing's on the wall. The paranoia is palpable, whispers about who might jump, who's on the watch list, who's next to be handled. Some threats are blunt. We have Oppo on you. Others are subtler, The kind of late night phone calls that remind MPs of every vulnerable moment from their past. And I'm going to take a break here to point out two things. One, when Andrew Scheer barges into someone's office, let's remember that Andrew Scheer is 6'3". He is a very imposing figure. An angry 6'3" man storming at you. I do not know if Chris D'Entremont's secretary, assistant, whatever word we're using, is female. I don't know. I think female because I think I remember they say pushed her. Was pushed by a 6'3" man, allegedly, and entered someone else's office without permission or authorization. He just barged right in like he owned the place. Number one. Number two, when your own opposition research is supposed to be for opposing parties, not your own. When you start collecting opposition research on your own caucus members so that you can blackmail them, threaten them, keep them in line, it's not a party. That's a cult. Back to the article. This isn't House of Cards, it's amateur hour with intimidation tactics. And yes, I've lived through the heavy handed days in the Liberal government, the PMO micromanaging ministers silencing dissent. It was maddening. But what's happening in the Conservative ranks right now is worse. This isn't discipline, it's internal terror. Take D'Entremont's exit. He said that under Polyev, he, quote, didn't find I was represented. His words were calm. The reaction from Conservatives was not. Former colleagues lashed out, calling him a coward and a traitor. The optics were brutal. A respected Atlantic moderate walking into a cheering Liberal caucus while his old team imploded in fury. If one of your last red Tory moderates in Atlantic Canada decides he can't take it anymore, you don't have a loyalty problem. You have a leadership crisis. When operatives are calling MPs to warn, quote, will make your life hell if they even think about leaving. That's not a party holding firm. That's a party and free fall. And it also sounds a little bit like you're a hostage or a battered spouse. Don't you dare even think of leaving me because I'm going to make your life hell. I'm going to find you and I'm going to ruin you. Who the hell would want to work for that party? What kind of people want to go into that environment? Ugh. Poilievre's brand has always been bold, populist, unapologetic. Fine. You can win elections that way, but you can't govern that way. There's a line between being disruptive and being destructive, and his operation crossed it a long time ago. The Conservatives have become a movement driven by paranoia instead of purpose. They don't build trust, they weaponize fear. They don't inspire loyalty, they enforce silence. Governance isn't about brawn, it's about credibility. People support leaders they believe can bring others together to solve problems, not those who lead by threat and intimidation. When MPs are more afraid of their own party than the opposition, you're already losing the plot. Yes, MPs switch sides. History is full of them. But those were personal choices, not hostage negotiations. In healthy parties, loyalty is earned through vision and respect, not enforced through fear of exposure. So here's the warning to Canadians watching this slow motion collapse. Don't mistake public unity for private stability. Behind the photo ops and talking points is a party cracking under the weight of its own toxicity. If Pierre Poilievre wants to lead, truly lead, he should recognize that running a caucus like a gang doesn't make him strong. It makes him small. You don't build a government by crushing dissent. You build it by commanding respect. Commanding, not demanding. Because when the fear stops working, so does the machine. And what's left isn't a movement, it's ashes. I could not have said it better myself. Sharon Carr, you nailed it. You nailed it. There. All right. There was a very interesting interview with Chris D'Entremont on Rosemary Barton's Sunday show, except Rosemary Barton wasn't hosting that week. I guess she had a week off. So it was Catherine Cullen. And I'm going to find it here. I have so many notes. I have content like for about maybe like 4 or 5 hours on this. There's so much in there. But yes, Catherine Cullen had interviewed Chris D'Entremont. So this he went underground for a couple of days, but not too many. Maybe he saw what happened, and their callings and friends, and probably ideologically similar. Matt Jeneroux, in one of his statements, actually specifically said that he has great respect for people on all sides, from all parties, which is a no-no. If you're a Polyev conservative, you can't have respect for anyone else, just your own party. And you don't even have to respect your own party. You just have to fear it and be sure that you stay in line and be a good little puppy. But let's take a look at this interview with Chris D'Entremont from Rosemary Barton Live, hosted by Catherine Cullen, because in it, he says some things that are very edifying. We learn a lot. All right, Catherine Cullen and Chris D'Entremont.
After a busy and dizzying week on Parliament Hill, Prime Minister Mark Carney's government revealed its plan to try and bolster Canada's economy with its first federal budget, billions of new spending in there. The budget prioritizes infrastructure, productivity, and defense, with few new measures aimed at everyday Canadians. The government is looking to boost the economy, one the Bank of Canada says is weak, hammered by the U.S. tariff and trade uncertainty. But it all comes at a cost, with significant cuts to some government programs and the public service. We'll talk more about the substance of the budget a little bit later, but Budget 2025 was barely tabled when Nova Scotia Conservative MP Chris D'Entremont resigned from caucus, defecting to the Liberals in a stunning blow to Pierre Poilievre and his party. The huge move gives the Carney government one more vote to get this budget passed through Parliament and potentially avoid an election. Chris D'Entremont is now the Liberal MP for the Nova Scotia riding of Acadie-Annapolis, and he joins me now this Sunday for his first broadcast interview since Tuesday's floor crossing. Good morning, Chris D'Entremont.
Good morning to you.
You have sat as a Conservative politician, federally and provincially, for about 2 decades now. You were a provincial cabinet minister. After all that time, how do you explain to folks in your riding that actually you've changed your colors? You're a Liberal now.
Well, I mean, situational. We get elected to represent the best issues of our ridings as people come forward, and sometimes we have to make decisions that are hard and tough. And I felt that in this particular case, it was better to be a part of the government caucus than it was to be sitting in the opposition. And I'm hoping, as time goes on, that the constituents in Acadie-Annapolis will understand that decision.
You had that private meeting that we have reported on with the Prime Minister. Was that what sealed the decision for you, or had you already made up your mind going into that conversation?
No, I mean, this has been a thought for a long time, basically from the election, hearing from longtime supporters that wouldn't support me anymore because of the leadership style of the Conservative Party. So, I've been thinking about it a lot. And, I think people saw that I wasn't being utilized within my party, and they were reaching out. And when I had that meeting with the Prime Minister, because I really hadn't had the opportunity to meet Mr. Carney before, that did help a lot in making it clearer of what I wanted to do. But I tell you, what really made it, what sealed the deal is when I got yelled at when this became part of the news on Tuesday.
Okay, there is a lot to unpack there. I certainly want to hear about the yelling in a second, but I want to be clear. You said you weren't being utilized, or people were telling you weren't being utilized with the Conservatives. Did the Liberals suggest that there's more opportunity on their side of the floor, that you could be a contender for a cabinet spot, for example?
No, absolutely not. I think it was just looking at the mechanisms that they have. They would talk about, the caucus that we have here in Nova Scotia, the way caucus worked, what kind of input caucus was able to have in developing the budget. Those are all things that really don't happen over in the Conservative caucus. And quite honestly, this is a time in Canada where we should be really looking at building and trying to find ways to, counteract tariffs and everything else that's going on in the world. It's a time to work together. And, over the summer, I didn't see an opportunity, or I didn't see a move to work together. All I saw was more division and more anger, and I wasn't going to be a part of that anymore.
How many people did you believe were considering crossing the floor with you when you had that conversation with the Prime Minister?
I really think there was probably 3 or 4. We've heard upper numbers. I only know one for sure that was maybe considering it. So, it's always a maybe, but I think I see a lot of people within the Conservative caucus. Many of them are friends of mine. I hope someday they'll forgive me. But, people aren't happy with the leadership style, not just of the leader, but of the leadership team that's there. Quite honestly, a lot of times I felt it was a part of a frat house rather than a serious political party.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, it was about who was friends with who. What kind of fun could you have with something? How could you end up beating up on someone else? What kind of negativity could you who could be the most negative? Who could be the most cutting? That kind of stuff. It wasn't about opposing something. It wasn't about keeping government to account. It wasn't about trying to do the best for your constituents. It was about tearing down. And again, as a progressive Conservative in Nova Scotia, a long-term progressive Conservative, I'm looking at building bridges. I wasn't looking at tearing them down.
Was Matt Jeneroux one of the people you believe might cross the floor?
Well, I mean, we know Matt did resign or resigns in the future, but I'll let him tell his story.
You said that what really clinched the decision for you was getting yelled at. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean?
Well, I mean, I'm sure when the Politico issue came out, everybody had that on their phone by budget time. I had the leader of the House leader and the whip barge into my office, push my assistant aside, rush in, push, take the door and just push it wide open. To sit there and, tell me how much of a snake I really was, and turning my back on my constituents and the people that voted for me, and really underline the situation that I made this decision. This was not, it wasn't about, hey man, maybe you're not doing well. Maybe we've misunderstood what your objectives were. There was none of that. It was just, how dare you do that? How dare you? And it really pushed me to a point where it's like, okay, well, I guess my decision is made for sure now.
I interviewed Andrew Scheer this Friday on the House, and he suggested that you left because you're mad that the Conservatives didn't make you Deputy Speaker. He also told me you told him you didn't like his YouTube videos. I suggested maybe that was about tone. He said you should have just unsubscribed. Did you suggest to Mr. Scheer that this was about the Deputy Speakership or his YouTube videos?
Well, I mean, way back when, was I upset of not getting the speaker job or the work that I did to support my caucus and taking my name out of it? Yeah, of course, that made me a little upset. But I'm an adult and I moved on. But what happened too over the summer is that when Andrew was the acting leader of the party, the tone never changed. The tone that we should have learned something from losing a third election. We should have learned something. And it seemed, and it continues to seem, that they haven't learned anything. So I'm 56. It's time that I do something a little bit different. It's time that I find other opportunities to support my constituents, because this to me is about the constituents in Acadianapolis. It's about Canadians. It's about trying to find solutions. And I can't do it sitting in that frat house.
Did you mean for the story to come out this way through Politico on Budget Day?
No, it wasn't. I think in passing, it was a comment. I probably should have phrased it a little bit better. And quite honestly, I didn't expect it to be stuck up on Facebook or Twitter that quickly. I guess I should learn after 23 years of being a politician that I shouldn't trust me 100% with that kind of juicy detail. But, ultimately, it was in my heart. And sometimes you just have to lead with that. And I'm happy with the decision that I've made. It's caused a whole bunch of other problems, but mostly the messages that I've been getting from folks has been very positive. So it's just going to take some time for people to understand that decision.
Have you talked to Mr. Jeneroux since he went public with his resignation?
I did text him just to make sure he was okay. And, we're going to get together at some point to talk it over. But I'm gonna let him again, figure out what he's going to be doing and how he's going to be doing it, and how he's going to tell his story later on. But I do wish him well.
You have been pretty pointed about Mr. Poilievre's leadership style. Did you ever try to address that with him, your concerns?
Yeah, no. Over the summer, I had a couple of opportunities to speak to the leader as he was doing his tour, I guess we'd call it, on his research on what went right, what went wrong. I was also the chair of Atlantic Caucus, and we had him in Halifax back in August. Had the opportunity to talk to him there. But as time goes on, it just really didn't seem anything was changing. And even if in some of those conversations, it did seem that he felt that he was going to be changing, or he understood that he might have to change his leadership style. I saw none of that in the fall session.
You campaigned against the Liberals just 6 months ago, and now you might actually be key to handing them a majority government. How are you personally squaring those two things?
It's hard in a way. I know what my positioning was during that election. People will say, well, I voted for you or the Conservatives or the platform or many different things. But I know that I did not really run on the Conservative platform. The platform that we had, did not address some of the things that we needed here. Fishing, of course, is always an important issue here. We tried to stay away from, pictures of the leader and all those things, because every single door, or many of those doors that we went to, it was, Chris, I can't vote for you this time because I don't like Pierre Poilievre. So we had to try to adapt our campaign style to be able to try to put that to a side and try to ignore some of those facts. But there's a number of things that I can attach to within the platform that the Liberals put out. Many times with my opponent, Ronnie LeBlanc, we agreed on the majority of the things. He was agreeing with my stuff. I was agreeing with his stuff. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we need to be able to enact things that are right for our ridings. And I still think this is the best avenue for that.
Is it your intention to run as a Liberal in the next election, Chris d'Entremont?
I'm not sure at this point, because quite honestly, I've been around for a long time. It was a 17-year career as a provincial politician. We're on the third election now federally, which was probably one more than I had expected to do. But again, we're in minority situation. We have parties that continue to struggle on getting that majority going. So, I like I said, I'm 56. I need to spend some time at home, maybe. So, we'll talk that over with the family when the time comes, and just see what the political fortunes are. Time. A week is a long time in politics in Canada.
Listen, thank you for making the time for us this morning. I appreciate it, Chris d'Entremont.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So, Kin Cubs, there you have it. A lot of bombs dropped there. A lot of bombs. There are things that are going on in the Liberal Party about how you share ideas and bring things together that are just not happening in the Conservative Party. It's like a frat house. Kit PNC Bio, in one of the comments he made, said it's like ritualized humiliation. Yeah, just like in a frat house, right? Right? The yelling, the screaming, the intimidation. This guy is not boisterous. He's not angry. He just looks like he's just fed up, and he's just had the soul just sucked right out of him. He's not screaming. He's not clamoring for attention. He's not, saying things in hyperbolic ways. He's just laying it out there. This is what it's like within the caucus. They're not there to do serious work. They're not there to do serious work. Not sure how long he's been a federal MP, because he was a provincial representative as well for a certain number of years, also within the progressive conservative ranks within Nova Scotia. So that was, so let's see, federal 2025, 2021, 2019. So the entire time he has been in federal politics, he has been in opposition. They thought they were going to win the next election, the last election. That's not. He's not sure he wants to run in the next one after this. So he has, if Mark Carney can manage to get himself a majority, he would have 3.5 years to try and actually leave a mark somewhere for his time in federal politics since 2019. He wants his name on something that lasts, that's good, that's productive. He just doesn't want to just be a footnote. He wants to do something for his constituents, not just stand there and point and yell and shout and mock and put down. Provincially, he's been in politics since 2003. 2003 to 2017. No, general election. And then 2019 to 2025 federal elections. This is a 22-year politician. All the experience that he brings, he knows his territory. He knows his constituency like the back of his hand. And the Conservatives didn't see any value in that at all. There's a reason the other 10 seats in Nova Scotia went Liberal. Now they're all Liberal. There you go. All right, before we go, Mr. Grizzly had a little bit to say about this portion. He had more to say, but today we're just going to present this part, and I'll present the rest at another time, because there are about 2 other topics that have nothing to do with what we're talking about today. So you're going to see a little clip of this interview again, because Mr. Grizzly references it. But I figured it would be a good idea to show it and give you his thoughts because it's always good to have a little grizzly in our lives. And this week, we'll have at least 2 doses of grizzly in our lives, kits and cups, because we will have him here today on this little clip here, and we will have him tomorrow with us for our Remembrance Day show. So before we go, let's have a little bit of a grizzly growl. It would appear that there's no volume, so let's get some volume there. Let's get that little growl.
Hello, and how are you doing? It is Sunday evening when I sit down to record this. It is about 5 after 8. I thought it was 5 after 7. My goodness gracious, Lola just dropped something over there. So I was very busy today. It's been a busy weekend. A lot of running around yesterday, getting some things done around the house, and had a social formal event I attended last night. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself. But I was out till about 10:30 by the time I got home, which I know is not late, but when you get up every day at 4 a.m., 10:30 is late. Trust me. So I was very tired last night. And as a result, I tried to sleep in this morning, but Lola would not allow for that. I was up at 5:30. Anyway, you can hear her. Maybe you can hear her in the background. She's sipping away at some water in her bowl in the kitchen. I didn't close the studio door because I just didn't feel like it. And that's fine. Whatever, right? So anyway, I'm a little bleary-eyed because I'm very tired. And I am going to go to bed as soon as I finish recording this. But I thought I'd hop on, put something together for you just so that Mr. Grizzly would have something. Mr. Grizzly? Mr. Beaver. I'm Mr. Grizzly. Wow. See? Fatigue. It's set in. Mr. Beaver... There's Lola. Mr. Beaver would have something for you from Mr. Grizzly, as initially we didn't think, all of us, including myself, didn't think he was going to be able to do a show, but he informed me that he's live. So you're watching a recording of me while he is broadcasting live. And there was a couple of things I wanted to address. One of them being, I'm going to go right off the hop with this. It's the issue with the Conservative Party of Canada, the Reformicons, because that's all they've ever been. That's who they've been since they formed the party in, 2003? I don't remember exactly when it was. Either way, it is not the Progressive Conservatives. They're not conservative anyway. They're a Reform Party, and they're a bunch of frat boy bullies run by Pierre Poilievre and his frat boy compatriots, Andrew Scheer being one of them. Now, I'm not going to get into the weeds about the fact that apparently both of them have addiction issues that I hope they do address, and I hope if the case be that they actually do have addiction issues, that they get the help that they would need, because it can destroy your own life and your family's lives and the lives of those around you. So if it's true that they both have substance issues, I hope they get the help they need. However, that does not excuse their behavior when it comes to things like how they treat their fellow members of Parliament, how they treat people and think that they should be allowed to just act and behave in a way that they feel is fine, because the rest of us, well, we just simply don't feel that way. And to give you an example of this, Chris Entremont, who just crossed the floor a couple of days ago to join the Liberal Party, is going to tell us exactly why. Have a look at this.
I think I see a lot of people within the Conservative caucus, many of them are friends of mine. I hope someday they'll forgive me. But, people aren't happy with the leadership style, not just of the leader, but of the leadership team that's there. Quite honestly, a lot of times I felt it was part of a frat house rather than a serious political party.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, it was about who was friends with who. What kind of fun could you have with something? How could you end up beating up on someone else? What kind of negativity could you who could be the most negative? Who could be the most cutting? I think
Now, for many of us, we are well aware of the fact that this is who this party is and who it's been since basically the beginning. It's not a surprise to me that they behave in this manner. I've long known this. This is, again, like I said, this is who they are. They don't care about anything but themselves. They will bully and belittle and besmirch and act like they're 18-year-old frat boys at a frat party. Look, I'm not excusing frat boys doing frat boy things. Oftentimes they get a little bit carried away and do terrible things. I do, however, understand what it's like to be an 18-year-old boy and have tons of energy and nowhere to put it sometimes, and no frontal lobes that are fully formed to make proper judgment. Sometimes some of us are able to grow up and make proper judgments as we get older. Others, stuck in that frat boy way, stay that way forever. It appears that political leaders, serious political leaders with supreme power within their party, as evidenced by what we just heard, are in a position to belittle, besmirch, and bully members of the party. They punch down. This is who this party is. It's who they've always been. This is not a surprise. I'm not shocked by this. I've known this for a long time. Millions of Canadians don't know it, but they're finding out. I guess this is the finding our out part after the effing around for so long. I do believe that come January, when the Conservative Party has their leadership review, that Pierre Poilievre will get bounced. And I believe that Andrew Scheer might get ousted as well. I know he's just the deputy leader, but I can't see him sticking around. I mean, come on. These guys act like children. They have no solutions to anything. All they do is belittle, besmirch, and bully. And there's no place for that. Not when we have adults trying to run this country. When we have a giant toddler south of our border, the most powerful politician on earth, behaving like an absolute madman.
And there you go, kits and cubs. So that's what Mr. Grizzly had to say about this specific portion. He has a little more to say about the orange madman. And then I think something about ostriches. Did something happen to some ostriches lately? I don't know. Okay. But we'll have more for that on a few more of that on a future episode. Because right now, we are at the end of our time together today. Kids and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the kind of Daily Beaver morning show in the afternoon. I hope that you enjoyed this one, because I enjoyed making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. And please, sharing is caring. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. And if you share a little bit about why it is our content resonates with you, or why your friends and fam might like it, then please do so. If you would like us to help you, because sometimes you don't have time to watch the show, you're busy, you're on the go, we have our pod page for you, sponsored by the Ray Girl, and you can scan this QR code and it will bring you right there. There you go. podpage.com/thetruenortheagerbeaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. If you go there and click subscribe when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, It comes directly to your feed, and then we're portable and you can take us with you. That way you can remain informed and take on the day. Now, if you would like to help us, Kids and Cubs, we would certainly love your help. And one of the ways you can do that is by going to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page. And if you scan the QR code that will appear just now, like magic, see? That will take you right there. And at the urging of Kits, Elaine, and Cassie, you can play with our buttons, like, share, and subscribe. Go on and smash with them. Get freaky. We won't judge. We don't judge your kinks here. It helps us with the algorithm when you do. And we also get very happy when we see our numbers go up. So thank you very much for all your support. If there's another way you are able to help us, it would be financially, because we do incur some costs to bring the show to you. We have super chat and membership on our YouTube channel if you are watching there. But we also have the emergency hydration fund here at the Beaver Lodge, accessible via our coffee page. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. And if you drop a couple of toonies or loonies in that little jar, when it hits the bottom, it makes a lovely sound that makes us very happy. And it makes sure that you get to keep your favorite beaver nice and moist. Mm, mm. And since your beaver has been rather dehydrated over the past few days, if you were here for the opening of the show, you would know what I mean. Then, kids and cubs, um, we need some hydration. So, I'm playing with you. But yes, please do your best to keep your favorite beaver moist if you are able to. That would be very, very appreciated. And I thank you for your enthusiastic expressions of encouragement, kits and cubs. Because democracy is something that you do, remember that we have a few petitions for you. We have our comments petition E6689, and that is the one to have more political honesty in Parliament by trying to bring about a system that might have some consequences, and that would also let Canadians know who is actually being honest and, well, who is deliberately spreading misinformation. So that would be a very useful thing come election time if you wanted to do your research and know who to vote for. So if you could go and sign that petition, that would be great. For some reason, I cannot seem to. This is like 4 or 5 times now that I'm trying to get that petition to come up and on screen, and it seems to have disappeared for some reason, and it shouldn't have, because I believe the final date is November 27th. And for some reason, I'm trying to bring it up and it just will not come up anymore, which is a real shame. I'm hoping that it is still open and available. But yeah, for some reason, when I click on that, let's see, I put in the petition number, nothing shows up. What's this? I just say it's just a blank screen. But there's also ourcommons.ca petition E-6821, and that is with regard to media ownership. So to ask for some laws that would ensure that Canadian media is by Canadians for Canadians, producing news that is in the interest of Canadians first. And please, and go sign that one. That one is open until February 18th, so it'll be up there for a while. But it's only at 5,896 signatures. So we need to pump that up a little bit. And we would appreciate your help with that. Thank you very much. Words of wisdom. I gave them to you during the show early, but I will repeat them again. Kits and cubs, if you wind up with a fever, one that won't break, and you have no other signs of a cold, that is an infection. Get to the hospital as soon as possible. Okay. All right. could be a tough world out there, kids and cubs. Boy, don't I know it. So please be kind to and gentle with yourselves, and be kind with each other as well. But please be kind to and gentle with yourselves. All right. That's all I got for now. I've spoken enough and I've been up enough. So I will not have an Easter egg. So I will say right now, amour et bisous. And I will ask you to help me with the audience participation part, which is to ask me if I would please cue the cock in 1, 2, 3. Now that is a very healthy sounding request. And as your queen, not fully revitalized yet, but almost there, I must oblige. And once again, kits and cubs, um, as I said um, earlier in the show, thank you for all the love, all the support, all the kind words. Like I said, they helped a lot. They meant the world. And I personally believe that they are the reason that I have been able to rebound this well, this quick, because I knew that there was love out there waiting for me, and I just wanted to get back to it. And now I'm here, and I've basked in it. And as you can see, I am much more calm and together at the end of the show than I was at the beginning. And that is because of time spent with you. It's all your fault. I hold you entirely responsible for all of it. And I love you for it. Okay. We will see you tomorrow. Je vous aime. I love you. Sincerely. Thank you. All right. And now I am gone.